Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's kind of a dreary day, so figured it'd be a good time to bust out the crock pot and do some chili. So this recipe is kind of a combination of one my sister gave me and one I got off of Drew Marjorie, formerly of Deadspin. So the good thing about chili is there's a lot of room for doing your own thing. So not to bury the lead, I know a lot of people put kidney beans in their chili. There are two things you'll never see me cook, ever. Kidney beans and mushrooms. So mine's not going to have any kidney beans, or any mushrooms for that matter. But that's okay. You know, the whole idea is, you make it your own. So I'm going to do it in the crock pot, but you got to do a couple things first in the skillet. So the first thing is you dice up about one yellow, Spanish, white onion. It really doesn't matter. Just get your holy trinity going of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and just sweat that down for a little bit. The next thing you're going to do is mince up some garlic. So my sister doesn't put the garlic in, I'm putting the garlic in. So I got about 6 cloves just minced up. So what I'm going to do is, when the onions are done sweating, I'm going to throw the garlic in there. So what I'm going to do next is add the ground beef, and I'm going to get a little brown on that, and then I'm going to just start throwing everything into the skillet. And once again, there's a lot of options here. First things first, I'm using ground chuck. If you are using beef, I would use the chuck. It's got a little bit more fat, so it won't get too dry as it gets cooked in the crock pot. But, you could do this with ground turkey. You could do it with some kind of ground poultry. I think I might throw in some of that kielbasa because why not? So once this gets browned, I'll be back to show you all the other stuff I'm putting in there. We'll be back. All right. So leaving your pan on medium, once your veggies get sweated, you start throwing stuff into your crock pot. So I would line the bottom of it with olive oil. And this one I'm just doing on low. I've been doing a couple things on high, but this one, low and slow for that 5 to 6 hour window. And again, it's a matter of preference, how thick or thin you want your chili to end up being. So next, you're going to brown the ground chuck. I don't know if anybody saw me do anything with ground chuck before, but my tip is, if you want to get a little bit of a crust, if you want to get some texture, just that first 2 minutes or so, kind of pat it down, but don't start breaking it up right away. Let it build a little bit of crust if you want, and just, don't overwork it. So while that's going, I'll let you know what else I'm going to throw in here once the beef gets browned. I got a couple of diced jalapenos. I got, you can get either crushed or diced tomatoes, about, anywhere from 28 to 34 ounces, however much you want to use. I got a couple cans of those fire roasted green chilies. They're about 4 ounces a piece, so 8 ounces total. I'm going to do about 16 ounces of black beans. I do like black beans, just not the kidney beans. So if you use any kind of beans, you can put corn in this. Just make sure it's drained and rinsed off before you throw it into the crock pot. I'm going to throw a little bit of chicken stock in there. I'm going to throw a touch of vinegar in there, just a little bit, maybe a 1/4 cup or so. Your spices, chili powder, of course, some oregano, some cumin. And again, this is all to your preferences. You can throw some cayenne in there too if you like it a little more spicy. I'm going to throw a can of beer in there. I'm going to use High Life, but that's not, mandatory. It's just something I like to do. I'm also going to toss in a little bit of tomato paste just to thicken it up a bit. Quick tip for any recipes that you might be trying at home that call for tomato paste and you don't have any, you can just use some ketchup, man. It's the same. It's not the same, but that'll work. And in general, if you're doing the substitute of ketchup for tomato paste, just double the amount of ketchup because tomato paste is a little thicker, so you just want a little bit more of that ketchup. So I'm going to let this get browned, and then I'll be back. See ya. All right, so this beef got pretty much all the pink out of it. So what you want to do, because there is a lot of fat on there, I just give it a quick drain before you throw it in the pot. Because you don't want it to get too soggy. So, just for a second, give it a quick drain, and then it'll be good for the crock pot. So I'm going to do that. And again, this one is it's kind of front loaded, the stuff that you got to do. But once you get to this point where we're at right now, it's kind of a breeze. You just start dumping all the stuff in there and close the lid and let it go. So, and the other thing is, as you're keeping an eye on this, kind of like that crock pot, the Tex-Mex chili, just keep an eye on it, keep stirring it to make sure everything's looking all right. So I'm going to start with these jalapenos and the kielbasa. I left them as a little bit bigger chunk, so I don't want them to get rendered down too much. I kind of want, when it's all done, people kind of have a nice surprise when they're eating it. Just a little bit of different textural element, just something different. So now I'm doing these diced tomatoes and the green chilies, the black beans, the optional beer. I got a little bit left of Crystal's hot sauce, so might as well finish it off in this joint. These beans don't want to come out, but we'll get them. And again, keep an eye on this. If you want it a little bit thicker, you can leave it open towards the end. If you are watching it and it looks like it's getting too thick, you could add more stock. You could always add just a little bit of water if you wanted to. That would work too. Again, this is a matter of preference for people, so to each their own. Everyone likes it a little bit different, and I would advise when you're done and you're serving it, if you've got all this stuff at your disposal, you got some cheese, you got some sour cream, just whatever people like to garnish their stuff with, leave it to them. And again, just keep an eye on it, and I'm going to keep this low and slow for about 5 or 6 hours. That'll give me some time to keep up my billables. And for now, I'm just using beer for cooking, but once I get off the clock, I might crack on just for Mr. Matt. And like I said, just get this all stirred up, cover it up, and keep an eye on it as you go about your day. We'll be back. All right, we are back, and this is just about ready to eat. So what I did is the same thing I did with the Tex-Mex crock pot dish. The last half hour, 45 minutes, I put it on low, and I took the lid off to help thicken it up a bit. So I made a lot. When you're making something like chili, that's what you want to do. You want to make a lot of it so you have stuff left over. So what I would do is let it cool down, and then you can freeze it, and it'll be good. You can put it with eggs. You can do it with you can make like hot dogs. You can make chili dogs. You can just heat it up and have it again. So I'm going to throw some cheese on mine. I'm going to garnish it with some Cool Ranch Doritos. And just get in there. So everybody have a good night. And I'll be back
hopefully on the skillet train tomorrow. Have a good night. Be safe.